It was a stormy night in late autumn, the kind where the wind howls like a wounded animal and rain lashes against the windows like angry fists. I was alone in my small apartment, curled up on the couch with a mug of lukewarm tea, trying to drown out the world with an old movie on low volume. That's when I heard it, the muffled shouts from next door, sharp and escalating, cutting through the thin walls like knives. "You think you can just leave? You're nothing without me." A man's voice bellowed, followed by a woman's sob that twisted my gut. I froze, heart pounding. Had I just heard glass shatter? The argument grew louder, more vicious, and then, silence. Dead, eerie silence that made my skin crawl. What if something terrible had happened? I leaned closer to the wall, straining to listen, when suddenly, knock, knock. Soft, tentative raps on my door. Who could it be at this hour? I tiptoed over, peering through the peephole, and there she was. My neighbor, Emily, soaked from the rain, her face pale and streaked with tears, a faint bruise blooming on her cheek. She knocked again, softer this time, and whispered through the door, "Please, can I stay here tonight?" My pulse raced as I hesitated, hand on the knob. What if her husband followed her? What if this dragged me into something dangerous? But her eyes, visible even through the distorted peephole lens, pleaded with a desperation I couldn't ignore. I swung the door open just as thunder cracked overhead, and she stumbled inside, clutching a small bag like it was her lifeline. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know where else to go. I closed the door quickly, locking it with a click that echoed in the quiet hallway. Emily stood there dripping on my welcome mat, her shoulders shaking, not from the cold, but from sobs she was trying to hold back. I didn't know her well. We'd exchanged polite hellos in the elevator, shared a smile over mailboxes, but nothing more. She was in her mid-30s, like me, with kind eyes and a laugh I'd heard faintly through the walls on better days. Her husband, Mark, was a burly guy who worked construction, always seeming gruff but never outright hostile, at least not that I'd seen. Until tonight. I guided her to the living room, wrapping a blanket around her shivering form. "What happened?" I asked gently, though part of me dreaded the answer. She sank onto the couch, staring at her hands. "It's been building for months," she said finally, her words tumbling out like a dam breaking. "Mark's always had a temper, but lately, the job loss hit him hard. He drinks more, yells more. Tonight, he accused me of cheating because I came home late from work. I wasn't, I swear. He threw a vase, and when I tried to leave, he grabbed my arm." She pulled up her sleeve, revealing fresh fingerprints on her skin, purple and accusing. My stomach churned. How had I not noticed the signs before? The occasional raised voices, the way she'd started wearing long sleeves even in warm weather. I felt a pang of guilt. We were neighbors, practically sharing walls, yet I'd been wrapped up in my own world, my recent divorce, my dead-end job as a graphic designer, the loneliness that crept in like fog. As the rain pounded harder outside, Emily opened up more, her story unfolding like a tragic novel I couldn't put down. She'd met Mark in college, fallen for his charisma and promises of a stable life. They married young, bought this apartment building's unit next to mine 5 years ago. At first, it was bliss, weekend barbecues, dreams of starting a family. But then came the miscarriages, 2 heartbreaking losses that chipped away at their bond. Mark buried his grief in work, then in bottles when the economy tanked and he got laid off. Emily worked double shifts as a nurse to keep them afloat, but the resentment festered. "I love him," she confessed, tears streaming. "Or at least, I loved who he used to be. But tonight, I think he might have hit me if I hadn't run." I nodded, sharing my own scars. My ex, David, hadn't been violent, but his emotional neglect had left me feeling invisible, culminating in a messy split last year. "You're not alone," I told her. "We'll figure this out." But as we talked, a loud bang echoed from the hallway, someone pounding on her door next door. "Emily! Open up!" Mark's voice roared. We both froze. Was he coming for her? Would he break in? The pounding stopped after a tense minute, replaced by muffled curses fading down the stairs. Emily exhaled shakily, but the fear lingered in her eyes. I offered her the guest room, really just a pull-out couch in my office, and she accepted gratefully. That night, as she slept fitfully, I lay awake, replaying the events. Why had she chosen my door? Fate? Desperation? The next morning, over coffee, she revealed more. She'd seen me through the window once, reading alone, and thought I looked kind, like someone who understands pain. It touched me, bridging the gap between strangers. But challenges loomed. Mark called her phone repeatedly, leaving voicemails that swung from apologetic to accusatory. "Come home, baby. I'm sorry. But if you're with someone else." Emily deleted them, but the weight pressed on her. She confided she'd been saving money in secret, planning an escape, but fear paralyzed her. What if he finds me? What if I end up alone forever? Days turned into a week as Emily stayed with me, her temporary refuge stretching out. We formed an unlikely bond, cooking simple meals together, pasta with sauce from scratch, laughing over burnt edges. She shared stories of her childhood in a small town, dreaming of becoming a painter before nursing paid the bills. I showed her my sketches, hidden away since the divorce sapped my creativity. "You're talented," she said, encouraging me to submit to galleries. In return, I helped her research shelters and lawyers, navigating the maze of domestic abuse resources. But Mark didn't fade quietly. One evening, as we walked back from the grocery store, arms laden with bags, we spotted him waiting outside the building. His eyes locked on Emily, face twisted in a mix of rage and remorse. Please," he called, stepping forward. She tensed beside me, grip tightening on the bags. "I just want to talk." My heart hammered. Would he lash out? Should we run inside? We hurried past him, but he followed, pleading, turning to demands. "You can't just hide with her. This is our marriage." Inside the apartment, we barricaded the door as he banged on it, shouting until neighbors complained and he stormed off. That night, Emily broke down completely, sobbing in my arms. I thought I could fix him. I thought love was enough. It was a turning point. She filed for a restraining order the next day, with me by her side at the courthouse. The process was grueling, paperwork, testimonies, the judge's stern gaze, but resolution came when it was granted. Mark was ordered to stay away, giving Emily space to breathe. Yet, healing wasn't linear. She had nightmares, flinching at loud noises, doubting her worth. I shared my own recovery, therapy sessions that taught me self-love, hobbies that rebuilt my spirit. Together, we attended support groups, where stories like hers echoed, fostering empathy and strength. As weeks passed, our friendship deepened into something profound. Emily moved out temporarily to a women's shelter, but we met often. Coffee dates, park walks. She started painting again, her canvases bursting with colors that mirrored her emerging hope. I, inspired, entered a local art contest and won third place, crediting her encouragement. But life threw another curve. Mark violated the order, showing up at her work one afternoon. "I need help," he admitted tearfully, not aggressive but broken. Emily faced him with newfound resolve. "Get therapy, Mark. For yourself. But we're done." It was her cliffhanger moment. Would he change, or spiral? He left peacefully, later enrolling in anger management, a small victory in the ruins. Months later, Emily found a new apartment across town, a fresh start. She invited me over for a housewarming, where we toasted to resilience. "You saved me that night," she said. I shook my head. We saved each other. The experience reignited my passion. I quit my job to freelance full-time, designing book covers that told stories of triumph. Emily pursued nursing with renewed purpose, volunteering at abuse hotlines. Our bond endured, a testament to how one knock could change everything. Looking back, that stormy night wasn't just about survival, it was about connection, the quiet courage to seek help, and the power of empathy to heal wounds. In a world of thin walls and hidden struggles, remember, reaching out can bridge the divide. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of hope and humanity. Thanks for watching. But wait, years down the line, as I sat in my studio, a familiar knock echoed at my door. It was Emily, beaming, with a surprise that would redefine everything. No, the story needed more depth to fill the time. Let me expand on those early days. When Emily first stayed, we spent hours talking late into the night. She'd describe her wedding day, white dress, vows under a blooming arch, Mark's eyes shining with promise. He was my rock, she'd say wistfully. But cracks appeared early, his jealousy over her male colleagues, controlling where she went. I related, sharing how David's indifference masked insecurity, how he'd criticize my art to keep me small. Those conversations built trust, layer by layer. One challenge was her family. Her parents, traditional and distant, sided with Mark initially. Marriage is forever, her mother lectured over the phone. Emily hung up in tears, feeling isolated. I encouraged her to set boundaries, and slowly, she did, explaining the abuse without apology. Resolution came when her sister visited, seeing the bruise remnants, and rallied support. "I'm proud of you," her sister said, hugging her tight. It mended family ties, showing vulnerability's power. Work posed another hurdle. As a nurse, Emily dealt with trauma daily, but her own made shifts exhausting. Patient stories triggered flashbacks, she'd come home drained. We implemented self-care rituals. Yoga videos, journaling. I joined her, finding solace myself. Over time, she confided in a supervisor, getting lighter duties temporarily. Her passion reignited, helping others while healing. Mark's side unfolded too. Through mutual friends, we learned of his upbringing, abusive father, cycle repeating. It humanized him, but didn't excuse. When he sought help, Emily felt mixed emotions, relief, lingering love, final closure. She dated tentatively later, meeting a kind teacher who respected her pace. My arc paralleled, post-divorce, I'd avoided romance, but Emily's courage inspired me to try. I met Alex at an art class, a gentle soul who appreciated my quirks. Our first date was awkward, spilled coffee, nervous laughs, but it blossomed into something real. Seasons changed, spring brought renewal. Emily's painting sold at a fair, funding her independence. We hiked trails, sharing dreams. That night, I knocked not just for safety, she reflected, but for a new beginning. The inspiring message? Pain doesn't define us, connections do. Seek help, offer it freely. Lives intertwine in unexpected ways, turning strangers into saviors. And as promised, if this resonated, like and subscribe for more. Now, imagine if Mark returned one day, reformed. But the true end came on a sunny afternoon. Emily knocked again, not in fear, but joy. "I'm pregnant," she announced, from her new relationship. We cried happy tears, full circle. Yet, in quiet moments, I wondered, what if she'd never knocked? The thought chilled me, reinforcing, act on instincts, embrace the unknown. To stretch further, recall that first week's tension. Every creak in the building made us jump. We watched movies to distract, rom-coms where love conquered all, contrasting reality. Emily taught me knitting, I showed her digital design. Small acts built resilience. When the restraining order hearing arrived, nerves peaked. Mark appeared, remorseful but defensive. It was a mistake, he claimed. Emily testified steadily, voice unwavering. The judge's gavel brought freedom's echo. Post-hearing, we celebrated with ice cream, toasting survival. But shadows lingered, Emily therapy hopped, processing trauma. I attended too, unpacking my divorce's echoes. Friendships expanded, we joined a book club, met diverse women with stories. One, Sarah, escaped similar abuse, becoming our trio. Support networks grew. Emily's art evolved, abstract pieces symbolizing breakage and mending. Mine incorporated her influence, bolder colors. A year on, Mark messaged apologies, sober and in therapy. Emily replied kindly but firmly, wish you well, but move on. Closure. My relationship with Alex deepened, we traveled, inspiring designs. Emily's baby shower was magical, friends, family reconciled. As godmother, I vowed protection. The message endures, from one knock, ripples of change. Be the door that opens. If moved, like and subscribe once. Thanks.